Now, it's not unheard of to see a small cap stock rise anything between 100, 200, possibly even 500% in a year. But when it rises by some 1,850%, you'd want to sit up and listen. Well, we're talking now to the chairman of a company that's done just that. It's risen from 3 to 57 pence over the last year. It's Beowulf Mining, and we're talking now to Clive Sinclair Poulton. Clive, it's good to talk to you.
Good talking.
Tell us a little bit about what's been behind this rise in the shares.
Well, first of all, we've got fantastic assets in Sweden. Secondly, we've been working very hard to go ahead and tell the story. Thirdly, we've also been working hard to go ahead and deliver results to the marketplace. And the marketplace, after a lot of work from my colleagues and myself, has suddenly started to understand that the iron ore that we've got in Sweden is top quality.
You've got more than just iron ore. I know you've got titanium projects and gold and so forth, but iron ore is the big one, isn't it? And I understand that Kallak is really where it's all at, is that right?
Well, Kallak is very interesting because we've had Kallak North as a project for quite some time. But last year we acquired Kallak South, which we think has basically tripled the iron ore potential we've got in this area.
You're on a race to add value. Just tell us a little bit more about this and how you're going about it.
We believe that we need to go ahead and invest as much money in the ground as quickly as possible. When we did a fundraising last year at 2p, our market cap was £3.5 million. Now it's roughly £90 million because we've invested just over £1 million drilling in the ground. So the more we go ahead and invest in drilling, assaying, going ahead and getting economic scoping studies, the greater that our value becomes. So the more we put in, the quicker our value goes up.
How close are you to announcing a drilling program for this year?
I'm actually in the process of doing it this afternoon after I've been speaking with you. I've got our technical director, Jan-Ola Larsson, coming over from Sweden. We're going to sit down and work out not just what we're doing in Kallak North and Kallak South, we've also got Rutavari, the other iron ore project that we've got, and we've recently just taken over operating control of Balek, which is a copper project that we've got. But we are concentrating on iron ore.
Okay, so watch out for more news on that as it comes through.
There's going to be a lot more news.
The other thing is, we're talking about race to add value. How much of a delay and the cost has it been for you as a company to have encountered what has been the worst winter conditions in Sweden for, what I understand, a century?
Over a century. To put it in perspective, the forecast for this week is at night it's going to be minus 45. Now, it's unheard of. It's not actually costing us too much more because the drillers get actually paid by the meters they go ahead and drill. And as I keep on saying, in springtime, the iron ore won't thaw away, it will be there waiting for us. So all it is, it's almost a theoretical problem for us because until now, when we said we'll go ahead and deliver something, we have done. It's almost like an act of God to have minus 40, 45 degrees centigrade. It's just held us up slightly, but we know the iron ore is there. So instead of having it early spring, we might have it mid-spring when we start announcing things.
You've appointed Fred Bowman, as well, I understand, to oversee the drilling for this year. How much of a difference is that going to make?
Well, he has huge practical experience. Jan-Ola Larsson is a technical geo. I'm a finance marketing guy. Fred has had experience for the last 30 odd years. He spent 20 years with Boliden, which is well known in Sweden, but in the last 10 years he's been involved in 4 different projects, all the way from pre-feasibility to commissioning, to constructing, to actually then producing. He's a Swede as well, so he doesn't mind minus 25, minus 40 degrees centigrade. We might, he doesn't. The end result is that as quickly as possible, we're going to move forward from being theoretical to actual.
In January, you said that the iron ore deposits could reach some 600 million tonnes. When will we know the quality of the ore and the ease and cost of extraction?
We have a non-stop assaying project whereby we'll be getting results back as quickly as possible. Also, we have RMG, an independent group up in Scandinavia, who go ahead and do economic scoping studies. So all the time we're going to be increasing what I call the quality and quantity of the product that we've got, but then also showing the market independently that what we have is commercially viable.
And of course the JORC report supports this to some degree, doesn't it? I mean, the iron ore deposit study shows the potential produced cash flows of what, $2.9 billion US over what, a 15-year mine life?
We have a 15-year mine life, but don't forget that economic scoping study was done when we just had Rutavari and Kallak North. We now have Kallak South as well, and Kallak South we believe has got 400 million tonnes in it.
So how much of a difference does that make then?
Exponential. We're actually got the people working out right now exactly what the net present value of the project will be and what the potential profitability will be. But if you're talking about these numbers on 2 projects, it's going to be considerably more with 3.
You've also got, at the Balex, you've got copper and gold projects, I understand. There's a joint venture there, is that right?
There's a joint venture there. It's changed slightly recently in the fact that we had our joint venture partners, Energy Ventures, an Australian organisation, as the operator. We have regained control as operator because they're looking at uranium in North America. we have seen how well the results of us drilling in iron ore have done for the share value. We believe that we can go ahead and do exactly the same when it comes to copper, because the copper project we've got at Kallak, once again, is very, very interesting, and we believe a very large one.
You want to stay with that rather than sell that part off, or you don't want to develop that and sell that off, or just concentrate on iron ore? Is that something?
We're very fortunate in the fact that we have iron ore, copper, gold, uranium. They're all basically at all-time highs. I want to go ahead and develop as many projects as possible to go ahead and show what true value that we've got as a company. Iron ore is very exciting at the moment because it is on everyone's lips. But then so is gold, so is copper, so is uranium. We've only got a certain number of resources when it comes to manpower and finance. What we want to do is increase the manpower, increase the finance, so we can develop all these projects at the same time.
How are you going to increase the finance? By what route?
We'll go into the marketplace. Our brokers say we can go ahead and raise money. I've been to various conferences. I've been talking to various people about raising all different sorts of sums of money for either the projects individually or for the company itself.
And you find that easy, do you think?
Nothing's easy, but it's not as difficult as it was some time ago. Last year, we raised £1 million in a day and a half. In October, we raised £400,000 in basically an hour. Right. Our share price has gone up. People like us in the city. I do not believe there should be too much of a problem for us to raise the money that we want to go ahead and finesse these projects.
And that takes you through to what? To the end of the exploration process and pre-production, or are you going to go right the way through to production as well?
My background is finance. So I look at, if we invest $1 in the ground, what sort of return do we get as shareholders? So I'm going to go through the entire process. People have come to us and already said, can we go ahead and buy your entire project? We're saying no, because once again, every dollar we go ahead and spend, it increases the value of what we have. More importantly, what we've done is, because we've used independents to go ahead and value our projects, it's not me saying that I believe it's worth X, Y, Z, it's RMG and other people saying that they, from commercial background, this is what they think it is valued at.
But ultimately, are you going to go into production?
I quite like the idea of going into production with the iron ore project, because it is one of the best, as RMG said, it's one of the best iron ore projects in Scandinavia which is not being mined. I'm already talking to government bodies in Scandinavia about going ahead and financing things. I'm talking to bank about debt. I'm talking to all sorts of avenues of finance to go ahead and see if it is worthwhile for us to take it all the way forward into production.
Have you had any approaches from the likes of Mittal? Of course, very interested, I know, going ahead with a bid for Baffin Island, I believe.
Well, Baffinland was an extraordinary deal from our perspective because it valued iron ore at £6 per tonne.
Right.
Now that, bearing in mind what sort of tonnage we're talking about, makes it very, very exciting. So I am always approachable on the phone. If anyone wants to go ahead and ring me to go ahead and offer me a deal, I am ready to go ahead and listen to you.
Okay, all right, Clive, it's been a pleasure. Thanks indeed for joining us. So Clive Sinclair Poulton, the chairman of Beowulf Mining.
This film is for educational and leisure purposes only. Proactive Investors does not provide investment advice. The company is a publisher and is not registered with or authorized by the Financial Services Authority. Please refer to the full terms and conditions on the Proactive Investors website.